Barbies and Gentlegrams, on the conquest to conquer queendom in rap, Nicki Minaj made marks on the map, scrapping Lil' Kim quite early, stealing the throne for herself. Nicki spent the next decade dancing at the top of the shelf. Billions of barbs barged to back up Nicki in beefs, but her downfall might stem from a battle that she cannot defeat. From Megan, Miley, Mariah, Kim, Carti, Lotto, Remy, and now The Rock, let's unpack why Nicki Minaj is in a very tough spot. But first, smash that like and subscribe button like a person you think is hot. Now, Barbies and Gentlegrams, Nicki Minaj has had a very turbulent, I want to say past few years, but we're going to focus on Jay-Z for a second. She's had a very turbulent love-hate public opinion on Jay-Z and Roc Nation over the past few years. In 2022, she got on Instagram showcasing a bouquet of flowers and thanked Jay-Z and Beyonce for sending them over. But now in 2025, she's going on Kanye-style hour-long rants against Jay-Z and Desiree Perez, the CEO of Roc Nation, saying things like, "Dear Jay-Z and Desiree, you ruined hip-hop, you ruined football, you ruined basketball, you ruined touring, Instagram, Twitter, the jig is up. All this is alleged and for entertainment purposes only." Then Nicki baffled the Barbs by making the bold claim that Jay-Z owes her $100 to $200 million over unpaid fees from the equity she had in Jay-Z's streaming company Tidal, calling it karmic debt, but still claiming that Jay-Z was in her top 5. Now, we're going to touch on her entire rant against Jay-Z, but let's focus on karmic debt for a second, like Nicki Minaj is talking about. See, people are wondering why Nicki Minaj all of a sudden, years after Jay-Z actually sold Tidal, why is it only now that she's looking for a payday for her share of the deal? There's really no conclusive answer, but we'll do our best with the information we have. For example, amid speculation, fans realized that in October of 2019, Nicki Minaj filed for a loan with First Tennessee Bank and used her performance revenue, aka her tour money, as collateral against the loan. Meaning, if she couldn't pay back the loan, the bank was promised future earnings from her tour. She filed a separate loan in March of 2023 using her music catalog, which features over 300 songs, as collateral. But after going on a 70-show tour in 2024, she later filed a delete collateral amendment to remove the performance right collateral, adjusting the deal to regular installments. Now, we're going to say this is all alleged here, but essentially what it means is Nicki had taken out some loans and told the bank, hey, if I can't pay these back in cash, you guys can use the money that my tours and my music generates in order to pay yourselves back for the loans that I took. Her tour was a very big success, generating over $100 million, and after the tour concluded, she filed a request to basically have the banks stop using her touring money as collateral and instead going back to repaying the loan in regular cash installments. Again, this is all alleged here. There was also this strange clip from a live stream she did in 2022 where she's basically trying to figure out, again, this is all alleged, how to transfer the TikTok coins that her fans were sending her into what she called a barb bank so that they can use these coins to then purchase her music. TikTok coins are basically a virtual currency on TikTok where viewers can send the creators gifts during their live streams.
Who can I trust to handle, like, so that I can transfer whatever coins? How much are the coins worth so that you guys can have it in your bar bank? Now, the girl that does Nicki's stream team, she seems very, very dedicated. All I want y'all to do is that for the barb bank, for me to transfer over my coins, all I want y'all to do is tell me if y'all think the girl who been doing Nicki's stream team is the one. Comment Nicki's stream team if you think the girl that does Nicki's stream team should have the barb bank.
And this doesn't necessarily mean Nicki is broke or anything, just kind of strange timing that she takes out these loans, uses her touring money and her music profits as a safety net in case she can't pay them back. If I understood correctly, she's essentially trying to allegedly also use TikTok coins to have her fans buy her music. And now she's demanding $100 million from Jay-Z. And she's asking for this money just one day after the judge in her husband's court case sent out a scheduling order setting a status conference for July 31st, 2025 to discuss management of the case and possible settlement discussions. Why is this relevant, you might ask? Well, here's a rabbit hole for you, alright? In 1995, Nicki Minaj's now husband was convicted of attempted rape to a then 16-year-old girl. He was sentenced to 18 to 54 months in prison and ended up serving 4 years behind bars, as well as being listed as a level 2 registered S offender in New York State. When Nicki began dating him in 2019 and her followers were rightfully critical of his past, she clapped back saying he was 15, she was 16, in a relationship, but go off, internet. Y'all can't run my life. Y'all can't even run your own life. Thank you, boo. Now, because Kenny is a registered level 2 S offender, he must remain on the S offender registry for 20 years. He also has to report his address to the Department of Justice every 6 months. Nicki and Kenneth got married in 2019, and in 2022, Nicki purchased a $20 million home in Hidden Hills, California, moving her husband, and their child into the residence. But see, Kenneth, being a registered S offender, again, he had to report where he lived to the Department of Justice every 6 months. He failed to do so when he moved to Los Angeles with Nicki, which led him to be sentenced to 3 years probation and a year in home detention for failing to register as an S offender. And amidst the chaos and controversy, fans started digging into Nicki's husband, his past, the entire case, forcing the victim, Jennifer Hugh, to have to relive this extremely dark moment of her past. To the point where she even alleges that Nicki Minaj and Kenneth had spent months and even tried offering her hundreds of thousands of dollars to basically come out, allegedly, to clear Kenneth's name. Jennifer claims that an old childhood friend of her brother named Barry had reached out to connect Jennifer with Nicki, who tried to ask Jennifer to help them out. Because logically, if Jennifer comes out and says this never actually happened, or, it was a long time ago, a misunderstanding between two teenagers, Nicki Minaj's public appearance, being that she's now married to the man accused of this crime, doesn't seem as bad if the victim comes out and speaks up and clears the air, right? Jennifer claims she continued to turn away different lawyers that approached her about this case, and the same man who connected her with Nicki Minaj, Barry, had allegedly parked in a car outside her house and offered her $20,000 in cash if she agreed to sign a letter that he typed stating that she'd lied about her assault. Jennifer said, "I held it in my hands, I put the money on the floor in the passenger seat and told him I'm not taking it. I don't want it." Things took a scarier turn when Jennifer claims she received a call from her brother asking if she was okay. He told her that their cousin had called him, sounding terrified, saying they knew where Jennifer lived. Don't be surprised if they're sitting on your couch. Jennifer claims she moved 3 times in 2020 out of fear for her safety. She refused to give in to the bribes and intimidation and instead sued the Petties for $20 million, claiming she endured a relentless campaign of bribery, intimidation, harassment, and stalking. Now, it's important to note, again, everything is alleged, and Kenneth and Nicki Minaj have denied all claims. And that's why, like I mentioned minutes ago, the judge had recently, July 7th, filed a court scheduling order for Nicki and her husband to appear in court later this month to get this case settled. If they're found guilty or don't come to a settlement, again, $20 million is on the line. So when you're asking yourself, why is Nicki choosing now to go on a long-winded Twitter attack against Jay-Z demanding $100 million from him, could stem from the fact that she's facing some big financial responsibilities in the near future. Between this lawsuit from her husband's alleged victim to the loan she took out around the same time she married him in 2019, using her touring and music profits as collateral against the loan, as well as a $20 million home purchase in LA in 2022, Nicki has some big financial pressure on her back. But the story doesn't end here. See, as far as Nicki helping her husband with this financial trouble that stemmed from the victim in his S offender case, several years ago, Nicki had threatened legal action against a reporter who pointed out that this wasn't the first time Nicki defended an S offender. Daily Mail TV host Jesse Palmer had pointed out that Nicki was supporting her brother, allegedly, while he was behind bars. Nicki responded to the reporter saying, "You better have a good lawyer. You just lied about me on national TV and now you're being sued. You better be able to back up what you just said with facts." But see, the facts were, and I'm going to say allegedly just for my own sake, Nicki allegedly supported her brother during his trial. Nicki's brother, Jelani Mirage, was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison for assault of his 11-year-old stepdaughter. Court papers reveal that Nicki had allegedly put up the $100,000 bond of her brother and used her 2 homes as collateral. Just judging by the public post she made, it was obvious that she was quite close to her brother. Now, he did plead not guilty, and it's very possible Nicki knew nothing about this and went by her brother's word that he was innocent, but in the end, he was found guilty on the assault charges. But someone who was convicted of assault with a minor long before Nicki decided to associate herself with him was none other than the rapper Tekashi 6ix9ine. In October of 2015, 6ix9ine pled guilty to a use of a child in an S performance. Now, while years later Tekashi did tell Akademiks that he did not know the girl was a minor, the outcome of this case was public knowledge long before Nicki decided to collaborate with Tekashi in 2018 on their hit song Fifi. After Tekashi was later entangled in a RICO case and snitched on his co-defendants, leading him to an early release, Nicki and Tekashi decided to team up again to recreate the magic of Fifi with their next song Trolls in 2020. And while on the first week the song did receive some success, debuting at number 1 on the charts, many people questioned why Nicki chose to be the first to collaborate with 6ix9ine after the scrutiny he faced for snitching on all the individuals tied in that RICO case who he had came up with in the music industry. Nicki Minaj defended the collaboration, saying that she separates the streets from the music industry and claims that many rappers do the same. Yeah, she decided to collaborate with 6ix9ine, who was a snitch, but in her words, there were many rappers who sat in meetings with individuals with similar sketchy pasts.
When we talk about rappers versus street, it's rappers that push guns, they ain't never bust a day in their life in their music all the mother time. So we're not talking about rappers. I feel streets have a right to feel how they want to feel because they in the field. And you know, I'm not on the block with 6ix9ine. Me and 6ix9ine is not on the block. We in the music business. So you rappers is in rooms all the time with people with sketchy pasts. And I'm not judging anybody because that's just, I'm not doing that. I have nothing but respect for so many of these people, and I would never fix my face to a crazy about them.
Who could she have been referring to here? Well, 6ix9ine, in his own defense of his snitching actions, pointed out that many of the same rappers who were criticizing him for being a snitch were signed to a record label that employed a snitch.
Desiree Perez, right? She's an executive at Roc Nation. Desiree Perez was arrested, right? Desiree Perez is a Roc Nation executive that works with Meek Mill. Matter of fact, let me show you. With Desiree Perez, right? She's part of his bail with Jay-Z. This part of Roc Nation, right? She's a executive at Roc Nation. But then you go saying, yo, listen, we don't for rats. Your executive is a rat. So you pick and choose? Because if you don't want to be around rats completely, you're with a rat right there. She cooperated for the DEA.
Now remember that name, Desiree Perez, because it's going to play a very important role in this story very shortly. See, Desiree Perez, the wife of longtime Jay-Z wingman Juan Perez, became a cooperating witness for the DEA in the 1990s after her 1994 arrest for possession of 35 kilos of, I don't know if I could say this, white powder, and she struck a deal with the feds, agreeing to wear hidden wires to record her meetings with major white powder movers. Desiree Perez is the current CEO of Roc Nation. Roc Nation was, of course, a company founded by Jay-Z in 2008. In 2015, Jay-Z also acquired the streaming company Tidal in an effort to compete with Apple Music and Spotify. But the acquisition of Tidal was a little different than the other streaming platforms. See, Jay-Z, in an attempt to make this a true platform for artists, gathered 15 of the biggest musicians in music to become co-owners in the Tidal platform with Jay-Z himself. This included Beyonce, Rihanna, Kanye West, J. Cole, amongst others, and in that list included Nicki Minaj. By agreeing to promote the streaming service and give exclusive content, she allegedly was supposed to receive 3% of the profit of the company. But this is where it gets kind of shaky because there's no clear source to her directly owning 3%. All sources online are kind of unclear if all those 15 artists together own a 3% equity stake in Tidal, or if each one of them owns 3%. If each one of them owns 3%, that means those 15 artists who signed on as a Tidal partner, together they all own 45% of the company. Kanye had his fair share of issues with Tidal in 2017. According to TMZ, sources close to Kanye said his representative sent Tidal a legal letter claiming that he owes them over $3 million. It's unclear if he ever got his money, but in March of 2021, Jack Dorsey's company Square had acquired Tidal for $297 million. Jay-Z, who owned a significant stake in Tidal, joined Square's board of directors after the acquisition and part of the deal. But what happened to all the other artists who owned a stake in Tidal? Well, that was unclear for a little bit, and again, this acquisition happened in 2021. 2 years later, in 2023, Nicki Minaj was still showing love to Tidal, tweeting at them, essentially thanking them for including a playlist on their platform that was solely dedicated to her music. But in September of 2024, after Jay-Z's company Roc Nation had teamed up with the NFL to essentially choose Kendrick Lamar as the halftime performer for that year's Super Bowl, Nicki Minaj was not happy they did not choose Lil Wayne. We're going to touch on that shortly, but I want to focus on Tidal for a second. Because in her long rant in September 2024, when Wayne was not chosen to be the Super Bowl performer, she also mentioned not receiving what she was promised from the sale of Tidal, stating, "I received a call advising that Tidal was sold and that they made no money on the deal, so all they could offer me was $1 million. But wait, there's more. The lawyer advised that Deseret advised him that I had to sign the agreement in 24 hours if I wanted to take the $1 million offer, or else it was off the table. Listen to the end of my song Fractions for what my response was." So when you look at the lyrics of her song Fractions, she concludes the verse off rapping, "Head game slicker than Miss Gloria Glue. He trying to eat it up. I said, come and get it, boo. While I count $1 mil. Jigga what? Jigga who? What or why?" Fractions was a song released in 2021 right after the sale of Tidal, so these lyrics do line up with Nicki's claims that Desiree Perez, the CEO of Roc Nation, had offered Nicki $1 million for the sale of Tidal. And if you do the math, if Nicki really did own 3% of Tidal when she first signed on, and Tidal sold for around $300 million, that would mean Nicki Minaj should earn $9 million off the sale of the company. $1 million would be a very big lowball. But again, we don't know if that 3% meant that all the 15 artists who signed on as partial owners of Tidal, that it was all of them collectively that owned 3% of the company. And if that was the case, that meant Nicki was one of 15 artists sharing that 3%, and that would mean she was only entitled to $600,000 if Tidal sold for $300 million. And if that was really the case, then for her to get $1 million instead of the $600,000 from her share of the deal, then that would mean Desiree, Roc Nation, Jay-Z were offering her a great deal. So we don't really know exactly what went on here, but what's strange is that Tidal was sold in 2021. Nicki Minaj was still showing Tidal love in 2023, but it was only by 2024 when Kendrick was chosen to do the Super Bowl and she went off on Roc Nation and Jay-Z that she decided to expose that she was only offered $1 million for the sale of Tidal and that she was upset about it. If she was really upset about it in 2021 when Tidal was actually sold, why in 2022 was she showing love to Jay-Z and Beyonce for sending her flowers? Why was she showing love to Tidal in 2023? What could have changed in 2024? Well, like J. Cole and 21 Savage say, a lot. See, around the same time that Nicki Minaj was getting married to Kenneth Petty, a young emerging female MC was making massive waves in the industry and decided to find a home for her music on Roc Nation. This was none other than Megan Thee Stallion, and Nicki Minaj had co-signed her very early on. In August of 2019, Nicki and Megan collaborated on the song Hot Girl Summer, and a month later, Megan Thee Stallion signed to Roc Nation in September of 2019. This was a big moment because after the beef that Nicki had with Carti B, which we'll get to shortly, many people criticized Nicki for having a history of trying to be the only female rapper, not just at the top of the game, but in the game. Remy Ma had accused Nicki of taking food out of her kid's mouth. Lil Kim said Nicki wasn't very graceful when she first came in the game, taking massive influence off of Kim, but not properly paying homage. It's not really her job to, but Nicki Minaj had won the Best Female MC award at the BET Awards for about 6-7 years in a row, and throughout that entire time period, we did not see her collaborate, put on, or co-sign any other major female rapper. The one time she was placed on a track with another female rapper, Cardi B, it ended up spiraling into a massive beef between them. Again, a story for later in this video. But her directly getting on a song with Megan Thee Stallion with no other voices present, because again, Motorsport with Cardi B was also with the Migos. This was her first time directly collaborating with another female MC, with just her and Megan handling the rapping on the song. I think this marked a big turning point in Nicki's career. It showed she was able to embrace the next generation as she phased out into the later half of her career. Not that she was necessarily done, but she was taking on a more OG position within the game. But just less than a year after signing to Roc Nation, Megan Thee Stallion would participate in another female MC collaboration with none other than Nicki's rival Cardi B. The song WAP absolutely blew the success of Nicki's collab with Megan out of the water. This was a #1 hit for several weeks. I think it's diamond certified. It's so successful to the point where Cardi B is only now gearing up to drop her next album in 2025, and she's still including WAP on the track list in order to boost up the streams. You can imagine after Nicki gave the biggest cosign she ever had in her career to another female MC, she probably wasn't too happy to see that same female MC team up with her rival less than a year later. And this was right after Megan signed to Roc Nation, right? Megan justified her position saying, I didn't feel like I had to call Nicki first. I mean, because at the end of the day, I'm still an artist and I should be free to work with whoever I want to work with. My personal relationship with anybody doesn't affect what I choose to do as an artist. Me and Carti's relationship furthered after the song. Like, she's great on her own. I love her as a person and we talk often. We talk a lot. Me and Nicki, our relationship hasn't changed since we did Hot Girl Summer. This was in November of 2020, and about 2 months later in January, Nicki unfollows Megan on Instagram. Megan ends up doing the same. In May of 2021, Nicki releases her Beam Me Up Scotty mixtape onto streaming platforms with some extra new songs, including Fractions, where of course she references the $1 million she got from Jay-Z after the sale of Tidal, but she also has a song called Seeing Green, where she raps, "These bees thirsty, I could see why they're alcoholics." People thought this was a subliminal at Megan since she was very known to pour liquor down people's throats, coining the term driving the boat. And a year later, Nicki Minaj got on her radio show, Queen Radio, and accused someone of shoving alcohol down her throat, as well as allegedly suggesting that she could get an abortion during a time when she was trying to get pregnant. Keep in mind, they collaborated in 2019 and Nicki had her child in 2020. Nicki said on the radio show, imagine telling someone you didn't want to drink because you were at the time possibly pregnant because you were actively having a baby. Imagine if that person said, oh girl, you can go to the clinic. Imagine posting photos that you are pregnant and the person doesn't even like it or say congratulations. But then when you post that Beyonce sent you flowers to congratulate you, that person then tries to also send you flowers thinking that, oh, I can use this as an opportunity. As she does with everyone else. She thinks Nicki will post the flowers. I didn't even let those flowers in my house. And while she didn't say Megan's name directly here, fans kind of put the pieces together to figure she was talking about Megan. So one fan tagged Megan on Twitter saying, Nicki is accusing you of encouraging abortion and child endangerment with alcohol. This isn't something to stay quiet on. Megan replied to the tweet saying, lie. A couple months later, Nicki Minaj would release the song Red Ruby the Sleaze. Fans thought she was taking more subliminals at Megan when she rapped 700 on them horses when we're fixing to leave, but I don't F with horses since Christopher Reeves. Is she calling Megan a horse here? I don't know. I honestly prefer breaking down Kendrick and Drake subliminals against each other. It's a lot more layered in depth than some horse bars, but remember Nicki's husband. Remember the fact that Nicki is trying to get pregnant with her husband during the Hot Girl Summer video shoot when she alleges that Megan was trying to feed her alcohol, claiming she could just go to the clinic. Remember all these financial issues stemming from her husband's legal battles. These things kind of all tie up together symbiotically, and that would come to fruition in January of 2024, because before the Kendrick and Drake battle, it was actually Megan that kicked off the competitive spirit within hip-hop that year, unleashing her monstrous single Hiss on the first month of the year. On that song, song, she accused La Brianna of having liposuction and also had a bar that many fans thought was directly aimed at Nicki. She rapped, "These HOESs don't be mad at Megan, they're mad at Megan's Law." Megan's Law is a US federal law that requires law enforcement to make information about registered S offenders available to the public. It was named in memory of Megan Kanka, a young girl who was unalived by a convicted S offender. The law aims to protect communities by providing information to the public about the presence of S offenders in their area. Who was a registered S offender who got in more legal trouble after relocating from New York to Los Angeles to live in Nicki Minaj's Hidden Hills mansion? None other than Kenneth Petty, her husband. So this is really one of the best bars of last year, where Megan's saying, they're not mad at Megan, they're mad at Megan's Law. And I mean, I don't think she meant this part intentionally, but if the rumors were true that she was allegedly trying to stop Nicki from having a baby with this man, and then Nicki got on her radio show showing the world she was mad at Megan about it, it's almost a flip to say, you shouldn't be mad at me. I tried to save you from having a baby with this man. You should be mad at the fact that every time you move with this man, he's got to register as an S offender. And again, I'm not saying that there's any truth to what Nicki was saying about Megan telling anyone to go to a clinic, right? It's just kind of the irony of the bar here. Really good bar. Nicki claps back with a diss track of her own, a very interesting one nonetheless. It's called Bigfoot, of course in reference to the incident between Tory Lanez and Megan, where Tory hit Megan in the foot with a firearm. The most memorable bars of the song being, "Bad B, she like 6 foot, I call her Bigfoot. The B fell off, I told her, get up on your good foot." And I mean, I'm not going to go into how many long-winded rants Nicki was going on against Megan around this time. I don't believe Megan said a word about this entire thing. Maybe there was a couple subliminals, but Nicki was on Instagram Live for hours saying some pretty horrible things like, "You're bringing up 30-year-old T from when this man was a 15-year-old child." Of course, she's referencing the fact that Kenneth was accused of the crime when he was 15 years old. Nicki continues, "You're bringing up 30-year-old T because no man will ever effing love you. And you're lying on your dead mother." Megan's mother died in 2019. She continued on another live stream saying, "You let everyone be thrown under the bus. You let the baby be thrown under the bus. Tory, your best friend, your mom, you better go conjure up your mother and apologize. That's disgusting." She would move her multi-day long social media rants onto Twitter, referencing the title of Megan's diss track, Hiss, calling her a disgusting serpent, and rapping, "Megan's Law. For a free beat, you could hit Megan raw." She also admitted that it was Megan she was talking about, the whole, go to the clinic thing with the alcohol, saying, "Told me to drink and go to the clinic if I was pregnant. All because I wouldn't let your funky butt pour liquor down my throat." She thinks she's a bully because she gets a Rock Nation brunch every year. And this would be her first of many negative mentions of Rock Nation over the next 12 months. Forget 12 months, it's still going on today. So in September of that year, 2024, of course, again, Rock Nation goes with Kendrick Lamar for the Super Bowl halftime show. Lil Wayne is devastated, and no one had his back over the snub more than Nicki Minaj. She got on Twitter, fingers in full effect. We'll go through the whole rant. It starts off her saying, "I love watching the whole industry play dumb time after time. The truth is the truth no matter who tells it. Picking and choosing who y'all accept truth from, then bam, pow. Might tell you a joke, but won't tell you a lie." And this is just the warm-up. One fan says, "This is why I believe her every time. She's yet to be proven wrong. She's always telling the truth, but the truth only gets revealed months later." So Nicki replies saying, "Yup, and I never care by the time they figure it out. It's good for them. Y'all know his next move is going to be to tell y'all a quote-unquote certain someone is being treated so unfairly so y'all can go back into that trance." And this is a very subliminal sub, but definitely aimed at Jay-Z, because Jay-Z is known to highlight the plights and injustices of not just people in the music industry, but people in general, right? Like him, Desiree Perez, ironically, all of Rock Nation, they have their whole prison reform thing, a whole movement dedicated to people facing injustices while incarcerated. Just the year before, he was making a speech at the Grammys saying how his wife, Beyonce, constantly faced an injustice where she'd be nominated for all these awards, but has never won Album of the Year. Nicki is saying here, Jay-Z is doing a lot of BS behind the scenes, mistreating people, but The public falls back into that trance. They view him as this heroic figure when he comes back out and talks about people being treated unfairly, different injustices within the world. And that's why she's saying she loves watching the whole industry play dumb as these ploys happen, right? She's inferring to the fact that Roc Nation had just picked Kendrick for the Super Bowl, who would go on to diss Drake on that stage. And with each tweet, she's kind of inferring more and more to the fact that she's talking about Jay-Z. The next one saying, go and enjoy your effing money before it's too late. Who's got the most money in hip-hop? Who just picked Kendrick Lamar for the Super Bowl on that same night? You know who I'm talking about. She continues getting more and more direct who she's talking about with each tweet. The next one saying, one dude took a knee, the other dude took a bag. He's gonna get you guys in line every effing time. Here she's referring, of course, to the fact that Colin Kaepernick, an NFL player, had been taking a knee during the national anthem in protest of police brutality. And of course, then Jay-Z and his company Roc Nation go on to sign a deal with the NFL after everything Colin went through. And Jay-Z in an interview had said, I think we're past the point of kneeling. She's saying here, one dude kneeled in protest of the injustices and fought the corporation. The other dude teamed up with the corporation for the bag. The tweets would get more direct and intense, with Nicki saying, got everything in the world, still spiteful and evil. Disgusting. Be happy. Go be effing happy. In rap business, in women business, when you got the politicians and the police, you're good though. Plus that ugly Laffy Taffy alien, LMFAO. I think here she's referring to Megan Thee Stallion as the Laffy Taffy alien. She keeps going. I tried to tell y'all, but y'all wanted brunch. LMFAO, I'm on a effing roll. Wait, I'm hacked. And here, of course, she's referring to the Roc Nation brunch. Again, the same one that she accused Megan of becoming a bully after attending. One fan would realize this was about the Super Bowl, tweeting at Nicki saying, wait, this is about Lil Wayne? Oh, girl, sit this one out, because he wouldn't be doing this. Nicki replied saying, oh, you think speaking up on injustice within your workplace should only be done if it's for a person who would do it for you? I'm really the realest person. Wow. And this is where I do have to give Nicki credit. Whether, there is truth to what she's saying or not, she is willing to put her reputation on the line and speak up for what she views as injustices. And you'll see that only gets more intense as we move on within this story. And the problem is, just like Kanye West, Nicki might think she's speaking up for some grand injustice or truth, but because of the brashness or vulgarity in the way she delivers the message, it doesn't usually get received with open arms. And you could see that in the next tweet here. Denying a young black man what he rightfully put into the game for no reason other than your ego. Your hatred for Birdman, Drake, and Nicki got you punishing Lil Wayne? Lil Wayne, the GOAT? Noya, what's good? Eminem stood firm on having 50 Cent come out at the Super Bowl. A white man. This stuff is sad. House N-word things. It's good for them. No loyalty? Welp. Then people will keep sunning you. Of course, at this point, she's talking about Jay-Z for not choosing Lil Wayne to be at the Super Bowl, right? And I guess she's implying that Jay-Z has hate for Drake, Birdman, and Nicki, and that's why he didn't choose Wayne. I have a whole video breaking down Jay-Z's long back and forths with Lil Wayne and Drake and Birdman. You guys can check that out on the channel. Maybe I'll link it in the description, but we'll move on from that whole situation now. I mean, she does go on to defend Lil Wayne deserving the Super Bowl title, but let's keep it focused on what the hell is going on with Nicki's issue with Jay-Z. And again, who signed to Jay-Z, who signed to Roc Nation? Megan Thee Stallion. So the other day, Big Mac of Akademiks' propaganda page on Twitter, Akademiks TV, posts an article that says, Megan Thee Stallion and Roc Nation can't dismiss Megan's cameraman's lawsuit over alleged car S incident. Akademiks provides a little backstory saying, the judge has denied Roc Nation and Megan motion to dismiss a lawsuit where her homosexual cameraman claims the twerker forced him to watch her have a freak-off incident with a woman inside a moving car while they were on tour in 2022. Nicki retweets this tweet saying, oh no, what was that law again? Bahahaha. And of course she's referring to Megan's law, right? The law about S offenders that Megan used in her diss track against Nicki because her husband is an S offender. Here Nicki is implying that what Megan did to her cameraman was an S offense. Then she makes her first direct mention of Jay-Z on Twitter, replying to 50 Cent's post which said, Jay-Z is trending because the judge has granted Ray Meir request to move forward with his case, and the judge has demanded Jay-Z to respond to Ray Meir paternity lawsuit by July 18th. Nicki said, is this why he was trending the other day? I don't know. To God be the glory. She continues going at Jay-Z and Megan saying, Barbs, let's get Jay-Z trending again before I go to Twitch or Kick. Then she makes reference again to the lawsuit that Megan was facing about her homosexual employee, saying, being a gay man doesn't give any woman the right to grind on you or have S in front of you. I remember seeing someone grind on their hairstylist and he seemed so uncomfortable. She started retweeting a bunch of things saying that Jay-Z is not impervious to criticism, nobody's God here, Jay-Z is not her anointed. Then she starts really kicking things up into the next gear, attacking Jay-Z further, making the horrendously bold claim that Jay-Z owed her $100 to $200 million to settle the karmic debt over not getting properly compensated after Tidal was sold. You have to remember again, Tidal was only sold for $300 million. Why would Nicki be entitled to $100 to $200 million of that $300 mil? It makes no sense. And she continues saying, I'm going to use some of that money Jay-Z owes me to send some of the barbs to college, pay their school fees and their student loans via my Student of the Game charity. Then she starts going at Roc Nation's CEO, Desiree Perez, who she calls Deseret, saying that Deseret should be deposed. And just because of this next tweet where she's saying she's going after blogs and content creators, I'm going to emphasize again, everything I say in this video is all alleged. It's all speculation, rumors, just based off of publicly available information on the internet. This is not meant to concoct any sort of truthful narrative. This is all satire. Everything in this video is speculation. It's all alleged. It's not truth. It's not meant to slander or defame anyone's name. It's just meant to report and bring to you guys things that I have seen on the internet. It is all alleged. And you know, just for the sake of making this easier for you guys to consume, I'll just leave a little clip right here of the rest of Nicki Minaj's rant against Jay-Z, against Deseret Perez. She accuses Desiree of getting pardoned by Trump, and that's why Jay-Z did not endorse Kamala in this year's election. She quote-unquote says that the Democrats attacked her over her cousin's D. There's some funny stuff in here. You guys should read through it. And I know I said I was going to touch on the Cardi B and Nicki beef, but it's late, I'm tired, so I'm going to leave you guys with the funniest part of that entire beef. Well, maybe not funny, but definitely ironic. See, after the 2023 VMAs, which Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, and Nicki Minaj were all in attendance in, including Nicki Minaj's and Cardi's husbands, Kenneth Petty and at the time Offset. After the show, Kenneth Petty and some of his friends were outside a New York hotel where Offset was reportedly staying at. And I'm not going to say they made threats at him because, again, everything in this video is all alleged, but they do call him out directly by name.
Yeah. We ain't ducking action. We ain't ducking action. We ain't ducking action. Man, what's up, man? Good money, man. Keep playing with me, man. All y'all let's play, man. Y'all want to play? It's all fun and games too. We want to play too. We outside. Somebody tell Offset, cause Offset DM me. He DM me. He off the set. That whole gang could suck a. He off the set. I had you scared, boy. What's happening? Planning that vacation. You gonna be planning your funeral. Yeah, all the way to the street. Everything. Let's play. Let's play. What's up? We'll meet you there. Let's get it. They got Big Zoo outside. They wanted to come at me at the VMAs, man. We ain't even do nothing to nobody, man.
Man, what's poppin', man? What's
My
poppin',
nigga.
man? Nobody hiding around here, man.
Yeah,
We
outside.
We
Yeah.
ready.
Now you see Kenneth pretty clearly in that video in the red hat. They get into a little back and forth on Instagram. It reportedly stemmed from one of Kenneth's crew members posting an Instagram story during the VMAs that said, "Ask Cardi B why she's mad, Big Queens is in the building." Offset allegedly responded to this in the DMs, saying that they should stay at a female's business. That's what prompted the videos of the crew lurking outside of his hotel. Offset responded with an Instagram story of his own, laughing while he's stepping off a private jet, saying, "I'm getting off a jet," and he's funny. F they're talking about. We're hopping off jets, talking about outside. Extremely broke. And they would respond to each other, but the most insane response actually came from the court. Because after this little incident, Kenneth Petty was ordered to serve 120 days of house arrest for violating his probation by making threatening remarks towards Offset while in the company of someone with a criminal record. The court's document stated, Mr. Petty was recorded on video making threatening remarks towards a specific individual while in the company of someone with a criminal record. Of course, this legal consequence stemmed from the fact that he was priorly convicted for failing to register as an S offender when he moved with Nicki to California. He's here inheriting Nicki's beef while he's beefing with the court, and because of that, the court comes out the final winner, granting him 120 days of house arrest. This all stemming from Nicki's beef with Carti, and there's a laundry list of Nicki beefs that I could have touched on in this video, but I think the most crucial piece I will leave you guys with actually stems from a response Nicki gave throughout her beef with Lil' Kim. That, in my opinion, was Nicki Minaj on the come up, and it was an issue that I believe she handled with the most grace out of any conflict she ever had with a female rapper. And a lot of the advice she gave Lil' Kim way back then in this clip in 2010 could have applied to any situation Nicki Minaj found herself in throughout the rest of the 2010s decade.
I love you. I've said it in every interview. And if that's not good enough with you, mama, then it's something deep-rooted in you. That's your insecurity bothering you. It's not Nicki Minaj. It would have been any girl that started popping. She picked a fight with Foxy. Then she picked a fight with Eve. Then she picked a fight with Remy. Then it was Miss Wallace. Then it was Nicki Minaj. Every time you in the news, it's because you getting at somebody. Where's your music? Put your music out, and when I see your name on Billboard, that's when I'll respond to you.
It's insane how much this clip foreshadows, right? Nicki's talking about Lil' Kim not being happy with herself, not feeling confident in her own artistry. And because of that, she felt always on the defense when it came to conflict with other women. Nicki made a great point here. Focus on your music, and until your success matches mine and you're on these charts with me, I don't feel a need to respond to you. If only she followed that same advice with the Lottos, the Megan Thee Stallions, the Cardi B's, the Remy Ma's, the Desiree Perez's, all throughout the years. If she just focused on the craft instead of the conflict, we wouldn't be making this video today. But again, it's all alleged. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you in the next one.